Nezdrovia. Nothing better than a cup of coffee in the afternoon on a beautiful autumnal day, such as today, here in Southern California. Dzień dobry, YouTube, Evie Tommy, to another episode of Atticus Eats. And my dear friends, this is a particularly special episode that I have for you all today. You're going to be hearing my budgie parakeet, my budgerigar parakeet in the background singing, and he's talking to his friends, the outdoor birds. So if you hear that interspersed throughout the video, just know that's our little budgie. His name is Sweetie Pie, and he is such a sweetie pie. My dear friends, this is an incredibly special and quite frankly an episode of Atticus Eats that I'm so particularly excited for in response to the immense positive feedback that you all gave me when I did my Atticus Shaffer Cooks episode here on the channel when I cooked breakfast. That really meant the world to me, and it validated something that I have personally been feeling for a very long time now. Myself, my mom, we feel this way, and actually some of my own personal favorite YouTubers have come out in different videos of theirs, and this one specifically that I watch, and he made an excellent point as well, that there's just something that is so profoundly special about being able to witness realness. That's something that has always been a part of my personality. My mom has always kept me a very grounded person because she herself is a very grounded person. And we have grown, especially from my time being in the industry, to appreciate more of the wholesome and real things. And what is so terrifically exciting is that given recent events that have occurred here in my country, the United States of America, it's very obvious that the majority of the citizens of my country are all seeking wholesome grassroots, going back to really what made this country great kind of mentality. And I think that that's so incredibly beautiful. And I think that that needs to be encouraged. Wholesomeness should be encouraged. Realness should be encouraged. We can live, if we allow ourselves to, in a very artificial and superficial and, in a way, very dark because of that world. There's a lot of things going on by way of things like AI and the virtual world and the world of social media that is unfortunately plagued with an overabundance of fakery. And I don't know about you, but I personally am so sick of it that I'm actually trying to avoid those platforms as much as humanly possible. And I find myself these days deviating more to the wholesome and the real. And I like the non-dressed up. It's still artistic by way of cinematography, but the very non-dressed up, presentation of actual real daily life, not the fakery that is unfortunately prevalent in today's culture these days, and hopefully is shifting away from that, and we can finally sort of put that era to death of the, again, overtly filtered, if you will, social media lies. And these are images that cause people to feel bad about themselves or about their life, when in reality they are actually living the more realistic life, not the people that they're seeing on their screen. And so I really want to encourage that today with today's episode of Atticus Eats. This is a very special one, and given the extent of what I'm going to be doing myself personally as I'm bringing you along with me today, I decided to make myself a cup of afternoon tea. I will not be able to continue on with the season of my beautiful autumnal mug for much longer, and so I'm enjoying it while I can. My precious farmer dog apple picking mug and pear picking mug. Mom and I scored some mugs. This mug, and my mom has a matching mug, but of a female dog who has done some apple picking. We scored them from Hobby Lobby this year, and it was right at the beginning of autumn too, so we've been able to enjoy these all through autumn. But my dear friends, I hope you'll sit back and relax and enjoy this episode with me as I get to share with you all what we have in store for today's episode. I'll be sipping on my delicious cup of coffee throughout to energize me as I get to do this with you all. But my dear friends, speaking about times a-changing and for the better, going back to the way things should be, the holiday of Thanksgiving is upon us. If I can have my way, I'm going to be getting this episode out to you all on the Saturday that is just before Thanksgiving. And my dear friends, Thanksgiving is a very sacred holiday to me. Thanksgiving has so much depth to it. Obviously, there's a lot of rich historical significance, especially for us here in the United States of America and what it means. A time of unity is actually what the holiday is all about. A time of kind of reaching across the aisle, two different opposing cultures, and yet uniting in a very beautiful way. And also it speaks a lot, it speaks very heavily to the founding of this country, and also what this country was founded on, which is Judeo-Christian roots and principles. And you can go back and read things like the Mayflower Compact to see that. And obviously, like with any country, you know, there's ups and downs all along the way. But getting to the root of the matter, Thanksgiving has always been a beautiful family holiday for me. You all know how much I absolutely love and adore food. And there's just a particular richness and uniqueness and beauty that is involved in Thanksgiving-themed food. And it is so particularly special. And my mom has given me a whole childhood, and adulthood for that matter, of rich, beautiful, wholesome memories of my mom pulling together some absolutely outstanding, intricate Thanksgiving dinners that I got to experience with my family. For those of you who don't know, my family, for me, really just simply consists of my mom and my brother and his immediate family. And so we had a lot of really good times growing up where my mom would put together these very beautiful, sweet Thanksgiving dinners. My brother would do different things, like he would be baking his homemade cheese dip, which is just the stuff of legend, let me tell you. And a bunch of other, like, hors d'oeuvre kind of things, but that were very real. And my mom would also do a kind of a similar spread by way of unique hors d'oeuvres and unique special holiday foods for Christmas time as well. But the topic is Thanksgiving today. And oh my goodness, the stories that I could tell you all. And we will be getting to that here in a bit. I'm going to be doing some major reminiscing and nostalgia-based storytelling with you all. But today I need to get to work here, because what I wanted to do for you all today is I really wanted to break down kind of the pressure, the overwhelmingness that can occur from holidays, especially these larger scale family-based holidays, because there is the one perspective of that beautiful, like, Norman Rockwell scene, right? You're in the middle of a beautiful farmhouse that's out in the middle of nowhere, and when I say nowhere, I don't mean like a derelict area. I mean, like, you're in the middle of some woods or some mountains in, like, New Hampshire or Connecticut or something like that. And you're living in that old farmhouse, and you have Grandpa who's sitting at the head of the table carving the turkey that Grandma and Mom have been working on all day. And then you have this beautiful spread of all these different glorious, you know, Thanksgiving-themed feasts, whether it be, you know, the stuffing or the yams or whatever it may be. And you have this big, long, intricate dining table that's in a very decked out, beautiful dining room. And you have everybody right on down to the family dog and the family cat who are enjoying a Thanksgiving dinner together. That is an absolutely beautiful, traditional, glorious scene, and absolutely, without a doubt, an image of Thanksgiving. However, I also am very aware, especially because I've been blessed with being able to interact with so many of you that are living all different kinds of walks of life. And we have been coming out of an era of a lot of lunacy and a lot of untraditional presentations of things, that we're all still in flux. And we're all with unique situations in our lives, and it could range from anything from maybe you are living in a specific spot and maybe a lot of your family has either moved away from you or you have moved away from them. For whatever reason that may be. Maybe you're in a position of being agoraphobe and you just don't want to have a bunch of social interaction, not even on holidays, and you would rather just have some nice peace and quiet and solitude. Maybe times have been very rough, which I know that they've been for all of us, and a big intricate dinner is just not available in the checkbook this year. Whatever the reason may be, I really want to present to you all a different take on a beautiful and gratitude-filled Thanksgiving dinner that you can enjoy and really inspire you that no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what your budget is, no matter what life has thrown at you in this past year, Thanksgiving is not necessarily just a Rockwell world Christmas card, Thanksgiving card image, and you don't need to be pigeonholed to that. Life happens. And despite those circumstances, the heart of the matter of Thanksgiving is a heart of gratitude. For me, especially recently, I've been speaking about this very heavily with my friends, that autumn is my absolute favorite season. Autumn is a time of great reflection, and it's also a time of letting go. Just like how the autumn leaves on the trees are shedding their leaves for the year in favor of a winter rest. And then in spring, they get to put on their new coat of leaves, of color, of blossoms, if the tree is specific for that. You know, there's the time of renewal of spring. We can only get to the time of renewal of spring if we have a season of letting go and of reflection and of healing, quite frankly, that leads into rest, which continues that healing in anticipation of the work, the busyness, the renewal, the newness that comes with springtime. And that has been very profound for me this year, especially this autumn. And so whatever your circumstances may be, I hope that I can inspire you today that the heart of the matter is gratitude, thankfulness, which is something that should not just be limited to one day a year, but quite frankly, especially as a Christ follower that I am, and that I know many of you are who are watching this, that is something to live out daily, no matter what time of year it is, no matter what day of the week it is. And so that's really the hope that I have for today's video, to give you some inspiration, to give you some kind of input, insight into my life circumstances, and be able to share this with you all. I am taking an early Thanksgiving dinner so that way I can make this for you all and be able to share this with you all and make this video for you all today. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So for those of you who don't know, really that would probably be 90% of you unless you show up to the Twitch live streams that I host every week, 3 times a week. For those of you who don't know, my mom has been through, forgive me for using the term, but my mom has been through hell medically. Not just this year, but for the past several. And from that, and actually the cause of it was medical malpractice, unfortunately. And so my mom was in bad positions, and then due to mistreatment, she was put into worse positions. And because of that, my mom has not been able to function or to do what she loves to do, which is homemaking, on the scale that she has done for my entire life, and for that matter, her entire life. My mom has always been of the constitution of being like an Energizer bunny, and she just keeps going. And she wants to do that. She loves to have a clean home. She loves to cook. She loves to love on her family in a homemaker way, making things nice in her home, making things whimsical in her home with seasonal decorations and things of that sort. Parties growing up for me, whether they be birthday parties or harvest hoot nannies or Christmas parties or whatever they may be, was always in that realm of innocence and beauty and love that only a real mom and only a real homemaking spirit can conjure up. And that was my mom. And unfortunately, due to those medical issues that she has sustained, coupled with the fact that I am nowhere near to the capacity and the skill set of my mom, we've not been able to do the very intricate, in-depth Thanksgiving dinners that my mom was doing all the time when I was growing up in these past few years. However, the thing is, what my mom has always taught me, and that we've been able to put into practice now with me as an adult, and now with her in her present circumstances, is that you cannot focus on what you cannot do. You need to focus on what you can do. And then you find out how to work within those parameters, and you end up thriving in those parameters. Something very profound my mom would always tell me growing up when I was younger was that when I was very little, she would say, Atticus, with your condition, with your medical condition, you'll never be able to be a football player. Sure, but if you ended up falling in love with football, you could still have a career in football. Perhaps you're a magazine writer, or you're a commentator, or you're a host at the games, or whatever it may be. You find the alternative that you can do in place of the thing that you can't. And therefore you have this equal balance of realism, and you're not putting yourself in a position of harm or, debt or whatever it may be, fill in the blank for you, the viewer. But you're also able to still enjoy whatever it may be, the holiday, the sport, the activity, the art, whatever it may be, in a real and in a healthy way and in a realistic way. But again, you can thrive in that, right? And so that's really what we have put our brains to do. And that's what we've done for the past several years. And given that my mom is still in a position where she's not quite where she wants to be and she would hope to be and where she was as far as her functionality and capability, that doesn't mean that we can't have a beautiful Thanksgiving dinner together and be able to still have it be special and still be able to enjoy ourselves. And so that's what we're going to be putting together today, my dear friends. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying this is really not going to be Atticus cooking per se. This is more of Atticus assembling, which is why I've titled the video the way that I have, Atticus Eats as opposed to an Atticus Cooks. Because I do recognize the difference, especially given what I have witnessed my mom do all throughout my life, which is true and genuine and actual artistic cooking, but home cooking, versus me, which is more of assembling. It's a very loose definition of cooking, but you know what? We're going to have fun. And I am so beyond thrilled that I get to share this with you all today. So come along with me. We're going to jump right into the first dish. That's the good stuff. Alrighty, that's better. I had to close up the blinds behind me and get the overhead lights on because it gets dark so much quicker and more profusely these days, given that it is autumn. And so I have my overhead lights on. Huzzah! You can see me more now. And my dear friends, so for me, in my household, the dish that is the dish that I am actually in charge of making, and this has been true every year for several years now, is that my job is always to make the homemade green bean casserole. And so I have a stupendous recipe to share with you all today, and I can't wait to do that right now. The best part is this recipe is French. Get it? Yes, the good old classic French's crispy fried onions on the back of the container, green bean casserole. This has been a staple in my household for as long as I have a memory. And right around that time of puberty, when I was really discovering the vastness of food and me growing in my tastes and enjoyment and willingness to try different foods, man, that year at Thanksgiving, I tried green bean casserole for the first time, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. And it was obviously it was several years after that I started getting to the point of like, hey, I want to learn how to make this on my own. So Mom put me in charge of it, aided me in pulling out the different, accoutrements that go along with assembling this dish, and then I started to get into the habit of it, and absolutely have been enjoying it and loving it ever since. So that's what we're going to assemble today as part one of our dinner, which I'm so thrilled to be able to partake in. So for those of you who don't know, the French's green bean casserole recipe, it's on the back of the box. Here, focus there, camera. Focus. There you go. It's on the back of the box, and so I literally just go by this recipe. Why? Because it tastes absolutely outstanding and fantastic. So, we're gonna go ahead, and it talks about the different ingredients here, which we're gonna talk about here. You need 1 can of good old classic Campbell's cream of mushroom soup. Boom, there it is right there. We are gonna need 3/4 cup of milk, and I've got the cool old school, these are Tupperware brand measuring cups that literally I have in my infant memory. Like, we're talking when I was an infant, I can remember Mom using these measuring cups, and we're still using them strong to this day, so love that. So 3/4 cup of milk. We're going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon. They say to use McCormick pure ground black pepper. My mom and I have come to really like the Watkins brand black pepper. Probably Noir. And so we're going to be using that as our 1/8 teaspoon of pepper today. And then, of course, 4 cups of cooked cut green beans, or if you do the math, that equates to 2 of these cut green beans, Del Monte brand. 2 cans, I should say. And then, of course, 1 3 cups total, 1 1/3 cups total of French's crispy fried onions divided, which we're going to divide it up into 2/3 cup doses. So I have everything here. I have an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous dish here that we're going to be putting this into. It will be able to bake it in this, and then we'll also be able to store it in this. Take a look at this. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Just the cutest dish you ever saw. Very autumnal, very beautiful, and also has French on it, which is fitting given that this is a French recipe that we're going to be working with today. So they want a 1.5 quart baking dish, and that looks about right. Actually, this is what we've used year after year here in my home, and so we're going to just be continuing on with that. So on this note, I have the oven preheated to 350 degrees, which is what we're going to be baking this at, and I'm going to go ahead and try not to embarrass myself by spilling a bunch of stuff and inadvertently feeding Abby again, and we're going to be assembling all of the different parts and pieces for this dish. Okay, so what it says here is it says to mix the soup, which is this, the cream of mushroom soup, the milk and the pepper in a 1.5 quart baking dish, and then we're going to stir the beans in and 2/3 cup of the crispy fried onions. So let me take you over here. Our little workstation is going to be right here, the stove. Yay. Hi, you can see me. So let's go ahead and start busting things open. I'm going to just get all the different pieces assembled here and put together. I like working that way with this. I like kind of having everything ready to go and then working in an assembly line. If this darn thing will cooperate with me and let me open it. Strength, come to me. This is one of those, like, you ever open up a bag of Doritos or Cheetos and you just get that plume of the smell when you open it up? That's what it is for me. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision here, because that right there is just absolutely glorious. That crispy fried onion. Oh, so good. So good. Yeah, well, let's fuel up with a sip. Stupendous. Alright, so we're going to get this ready to go here. You got to be careful of the big ones. You guys can see. And I always like to make sure that it's kind of like even and level. The big ones sort of catch. You want to make sure that you have everything evened out with your goods and services. We'll call that a 2/3 cup. Get all the different pieces in there. Alright. These are good just by themselves. We'll come back to that, so that's ready to go. And then, we've got our can of cream of mushroom soup. We've got our little pop top here, so we can just rip that thing open. And just try not to spill. Oh yeah. Good old cream of mushroom soup. Congealed and delicious. We'll go ahead and pull out the old teeny tiny rubber spatula. That way we can scrape the can out. And we'll get all this here into our dish. Nothing compares, in my opinion, to the taste of green bean casserole. And speaking of that, my friends, type in the comment section below, what is your favorite dish to make at Thanksgiving? What's your favorite dish to eat at Thanksgiving? And do you have like a specialty, unique thing that you enjoy eating and making? I just went to a get-together at church, which was a prayer and pie night last night, which was absolutely glorious. And one of the amazing people that goes to this small group that I'm a part of, she and her fiance brought a churro pumpkin cheesecake. And my head exploded. It was just so glorious. I had never heard of such an audaciously amazing thing. I thought it was illegal, just conceptually. It seemed a slightly sinful, but no, we were at prayer night. We were safe. It was fine. So I'm scraping off the edges. My hands are clean, by the way. I didn't like scratch my armpit or check for lice in my beard before doing this. Oh yes. I'll wash my hands now. Alright, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and pour our milk. We've got our Horizon Organic lactose-free milk. And it's not that I'm lactose-free, but Mama Bear is. And actually, this tastes very good. So we're going to go ahead and do that. My mom always taught me that it's not 3/4 cup unless you get it all the way to the edge. And that's a true story. So we're going to try to very steadily transfer this. So let's see. Hopefully I don't shake. And he sticks the landing. Perfection. Perfection. Alright, that's there. That's in the dish. Milk will get put away here in just a little bit. I'll put that there. Pardon my skull. And then the pepper. I love these pepper containers. This was, again, all of my culinary skills have come from my mom, so you're going to hear me reference Mom a lot. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that black pepper. That rich, just real pepper scent. Oh, so good. We've got our Tupperware measuring apparatus here. 1/8 measurer has the Tupperware on it. We're gonna take that, and I like containers like this because see how they open like this? You can reach in there, right, with your spoon, and you scoop it up and you make it a mound. But then you don't want it to be too much, so you scrape the edge. Oh, I got pepper everywhere. Actually, I'm about to sneeze too because I sniffed that pepper earlier. It did not go in the food. We're fine. Pepper does make you sneeze, just as a FYI. There's no myth-bustering that. Alright, so I scraped off the edge. We've got our pepper here. I'm gonna put that there. Boom. In the casserole dish. That's ready to go. Alright, so now we'll put that away later as well. Thank you, Watkins. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to be dumping in the green beans, but we have to get the cans of green beans open. So we're going to actually come over here. Come on, let me show you a different apparatus. And right back here, we have our Sunbeam brand adjustable magnetic thingamabobber can opener, and we have actually used the same one as long as I've been alive, and even longer. And actually we had to buy a duplicate, I think just a couple years ago. And that's this, and it works. And we're so grateful because they don't make them like they used to. And so Mom and I like our old school cool stuff. So we've got our Del Monte cut green beans here. No salt added. Note that, because you're putting your spices in, and there's salt in the soup, and there's salt in the onions. And so you want to be aware of that. Don't add extra salt if you don't need to. And so we're going to go ahead, open both of these up. And if you don't like loud noises, headphone warning. And you've been told. And that's what's so cool about this, is you get the magnet, right? So it catches your lid. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stick this in here like this, and I'm going to dump the liquid out into the sink because we don't need this liquid, we just need the green beans that are in it. So I'm going to dump that into the sink real quick. Got our beautiful green beans there. This is 1 can. Again, we're going to use 2. Well, let's come back over here, and I'm going to show you all the dump into the dish. I want to make sure there's not an inappropriate splash. Okay, got that out. And while we're at it, let's kind of weave this together because we're going to need to mix it together. Let me go ahead and dump in some of these onions now. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and give this a stir, air quotes stir, a technique that my mom would always teach me, and this was true especially for making this, but also when we would make like cake batter together or things like that, is that there is something to be said about folding, because you don't want to get in there like this and then you flip it and then you make a mess everywhere, right? You want to be able to fold your ingredients together, and this really helps with especially dishes like this. Anything that's like a casserole or that you're assembling in the casserole dish and you don't want it to be too much as far as like, here's a clump of green beans, here's a clump of the onions, here's a clump of the soup. No, you want it to be all intermixed. That's a great technique for doing that, and you can see in here how that's already looking extra tasty. So let's bust open that other can, and we'll get that in there along with the rest of that first 2/3 cup of onions that we have here. Okay, that is drained off. Thank you, Mr. Sunbeam can opener. You've served me well. You stay there. And then we'll come back over here and continue the assemblage. This is such the epitome of like a perfectly balanced dish that you can make really anywhere as long as you have access to the ingredients or the equivalent of ingredients. You know, you get all those different notes of like the creaminess and the warmth of the cream of mushroom soup. You get a nice bright bite because of the green beans and their own unique flavor, coupled with that sweet, crunchy saltiness of the French's onions. Oh, absolutely life-giving. We'll get the rest of the onions in there. I'm going to actually set that off to the side. And we're going to go ahead and keep mixing that in so it's all nice and pretty. Get those chunks of the cream of mushroom soup all evenly distributed and nice. And again, you know what? This is very simple. If I can do this, you all can absolutely do this. I'm sure that there's many of you who do things that are infinitely more complex than this, but you know what? I like the simple things. They taste good. I'm able to do it. It's budget friendly to a point, and it's tradition. You know what? And we can enjoy that. So now that we have this, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take more of the French's onion mix, and I'm going to load it up here in this 2/3 cup again. That's going to be our topper for this casserole. So we're going to be sticking this casserole right now in the oven for 30 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then once that beeps, we're going to go ahead and open her up and top this casserole with the rest of those onions, because that's going to make a nice crispy layer on the top. And then we'll let that cook for another, or bake I should say, for another 5 minutes. And then we'll be able to have that be the dish that's complete. And then I'll get to the second phase of this wonderful, beautiful Thanksgiving dinner that I get to share with you all. So let me put this in the oven here. and that's working. So, I took a brief intermission once I got the green bean casserole here in the oven. It's been busy cooking, and precious Abby, she could not stand the wait anymore, and me talking about all that food made her ravenous, and so she was telling me and she was telling Mom, hey, it's time to feed me, and so I went ahead and I gave her doggy-approved dinner. And got her bowl cleaned up, and I also did a couple things, like I cleaned out my coffee pot, and just little kitchen tasks that you need to do throughout the day, and I was at the point in time where I could do that. Again, the gift, the art of multitasking, right? Running a home and being able to keep your home clean, keep everything kind of neat and maintained and orderly, and again, as I say that, believe me, there's other sections of my house that have, like, organized piles of things that I need to get to eventually. But the kitchen is like the heart of the home. And so that's something that you always want to try to maintain and keep clear and keep nice. As much as humanly possible, as much as realistically possible. And so that's a gift. That's something I love to do. And it actually, cleaning, for me, like it always has been for my mom, is a very zen thing to do. It's very cathartic. It could be something as simple as sweeping the floor, or folding laundry, or doing dishes, or whatever it may be. It's very calming. A no-mind, calm activity to do. And there's always the good, satisfying payoffs to it, because something is cleaner when you're done, and that's always so cool. But again, I cannot stress this enough, my dear friends. This holiday season, we don't even have to just limit it to Thanksgiving, but again, Thanksgiving is the topic at hand right now. I really cannot stress it enough. You are not less than if you are alone physically this Thanksgiving. You're not less than if your Thanksgiving dinner guests are your pet cats or your pet dog. You are not less than if your Thanksgiving meal is very similar to, like, mine with my mom this year, in that it is just my mom and I. Given all of the medical stuff that has transpired, which I was sharing with you all earlier, my brother, he ended up moving out of the state and with his family, and so we haven't been able to see them or spend a holiday with them in 8 years. And that's not a guilt trip thing, that's just the way that the cookie crumbled in this life story, in the phase that we're in right now. And so, maybe that is your circumstance. Again, maybe people that you would have normally spent the holiday with, maybe you moved away from them or they moved away from you. And so, therefore, you don't have an immediate person or group of people to celebrate this holiday with. Or maybe you do, but maybe instead of it being blood relatives, maybe it's the family that you choose. Friends and other members that maybe it's a church family, whatever it may be. That's a big thing for me too. That's something that I have learned in my growing up, in recent years especially. Family is not a similar biological DNA. That does not make a family. What makes a family is who you choose. And I think that there is something incredibly profound about that. And that's also something that I feel it needs to be addressed more, is that when you have that family that you're able to choose, who have made the choice to be committed to you, to love you, to be there for you, and then you for them, there's a particular beauty in that. And again, that's something that can be either a church family or different relatives that maybe are more distant from each other, and yet they realize their commonalities and they come together. Whatever that looks out to be, a child and a parent, I should say, or siblings coming together and they are the family unit. Or again, friends that you've developed through work or through church or just through happenstance, mutual interest, whatever it may be. There's something special about that. And this holiday, whether you're spending this holiday with someone, with a group of someones, or perhaps that someone, like I mentioned earlier, is maybe your cat or your dog, or maybe your chickens or your ducks, or maybe it's some wild quail that is out at a park that you see, or maybe it's the birds that you feed outside, doves, finches, and the like, scrub jays. Maybe it's squirrels that you see outside that you feed as well. Whatever it may be, there's no shame in that. It doesn't need to be one specific square, and that is worthy of celebration and gratitude. No, 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 no. We're supposed to be grateful for the simple things. We're supposed to be grateful for those little nuances and those different things. And again, the other thing too, and this is something that I personally struggle with as well, as does my mom, and if you feel the same way, please share down below in the comment section. Change can be good or bad, dependent on who is propitiating that change, and what is the change from, and where is it heading to. Change can be good or bad. There is positive change, and that is something that's more of the way of growth. A person bettering themselves, letting go of something from the past, healing taking place. That's a positive change. Then you have change that's absolutely, without a doubt, force. That fundamentally rewriting change that is just so absolutely vile and unnecessary, and really all it does is create a premise for chaos. That's not good. But sometimes life happens, and in life there is going to be inevitable change. And obviously we as individual human beings, we choose what we do with that. If there's an exterior change that's trying to inflict itself on us, we need to respond to that change and choose how we respond to that change. But then there's also the internal change of, I am choosing to be a better person. I want to make better decisions. I want to learn from past mistakes and not repeat them, etc. And so things do change. You may have a tradition that, whether it be a traditional get-together or a traditional meal or a traditional whatever that you want to enjoy and you have enjoyed year after year, but then for whatever reason you can't, maybe this year, or maybe something has changed. Maybe you have experienced something that's more difficult, like a loss of a loved one, and so their presence is being sorely missed from your gathering or from your life. Whatever it may be, we can still be grateful for the simple things, and also we can still be very grateful for things like memories and different traditions and different, things that stood out to us as we grew up. And I think that's something that's so special about childhood memories, and something that I'm so grateful for, because again, I've mentioned this a number of different times here on the channel, but I had two parents, obviously, like everybody does. My mom was the absolute best parent that I could have ever hoped for. The other one, he caused more problems than he fixed. And that has been consistently true through my life. And the thing is as I share this with you all, this is not a sitting on a pity pot ordeal. That's not what I mean. What I actually want to share is the fact that despite that, my mom gave me a childhood that is worthy of remembrance. And she has given me a lifetime of beautiful and pleasant memories that I got to experience. And again, many of those memories were my mom, as well as my brother and his family, and all of us coming together at the holidays and being able to love on each other in a very real, beautiful, innocent, wholesome way, loving on each other with food or with small gift giving that we would give to each other at Christmas time, or traditions that we would go and make memories doing together, whatever it may be. And Thanksgiving especially, I have many, many, many fond memories. I was speaking about this with someone who's a part of my Twitch community, and the link for that, by the way, is down in the description box below if you'd like to come and hang out and join a live version of a very wholesome, Christ-centered, but very nerdy community. I highly encourage you to please make a Twitch account. It's free. Go ahead and follow me on Twitch. Again, the link is in the description box below. And come hang out with us. We love having new, good, like-minded people joining us, and we all get to fellowship with each other. But I was speaking with this member of this community, and he was speaking about how there has been a lot of positive change and internal growth that has gone on in his household. And what he loves is the fact that he and his wife and his son, they're together now more frequently, and they're playing board games again. And that was something that they had not done for a very long time. And I think that that is a very true statement, that the health of one's household can be measured in something as simple as, does the family get together and play board games with each other? And that was something that me and my what I consider my actual family used to do with frequency together growing up, especially at Thanksgiving. My brother, he lived a bit far away even then growing up from where my mom and I lived, and so he would make the jaunt down to be with us for Thanksgiving and sometimes for Christmas as well. And it would be these beautiful moments where, you know, Mama Bear would be busy and hard at work in the kitchen, and there would be a time where my brother would be spending time with my mom, and then there would be time where my brother would be spending time with me, and then there'd be time where all of us were spending time together collectively. And I can remember my mom had bought us a Wii. My mom bought my brother a Wii and myself a Wii. And if you remember the original Wii, you're an OG, you're awesome. I know that there's other systems that predate that. But the Wii was so particularly cool because the Wii, especially for me, given all of the medical challenges that I contended with growing up, the Wii was a means of me being able to do physical activity and do things like sports, or, you know, they had fencing, they had archery, they had cycling, and all those other things in the Wii sports games. And I was able to do them, but in a safe way, right? And it was still physical activity, it was still like a workout, there was still definitely that brotherly competition that my brother and I had together. And so that was something that we would do together, is especially earlier in the day, like after breakfast, we'd kind of work off breakfast playing Wii with each other and hanging out and having fun, and that was always a blast. And then what would end up happening is evening time came around, and again, we would have the dinner. There would be a lot of me and my brother and my mom all spending time together in the kitchen, and then it would end up being where we would all hang out and we would do board games together or card games together as well. And that's still something that my mom and I do all the time. We've fallen in love with doing board games again, and it's just been such an immense blessing to be able to do, and really stimulating actually mentally. We play things like Scrabble, and so you really need to like think about something and think something through, and how does my placing this particular word with my letters here affect the game state and things like that. And so it's a lot of fun. But anyway, the long and the short of it is I have a lot of very, very, very good memories of that, and in my mom making these very beautiful and intricate meals for us growing up. There would always be that time where right at the tail end of Thanksgiving dinner, right as we're finishing off pie and coffee and relaxing and the food coma setting in, Mom would go ahead and flip on some Christmas music. And that was the beginning of the Christmas season for us in our lives. And it would be all the classics, you know, the classic Little Drummer Boy, you know, the classic O Come All Ye Faithful, and all those different songs. And oh my goodness, it was just an immense, even now, I'm reflecting on it, and I'm filled with such peace for the simplest things. Even then, my mom was intricate, but it wasn't like extravagancy to the point of it's gold-lined, you know, whatever. It wasn't that. It was all stuff you could get from Walmart, or whatever your equivalent of like a Safeway, Vaughn's, Ralph's, Albertsons kind of store was. But my mom, because she was the one making it, and I got to watch her make Thanksgiving dinner and all of the attention to detail that she's always had, made it so incredibly special. And even now, as you're watching this video tonight, my friends, I think that there's something important about looking back and remembering all of those beautiful memories, the different memories maybe from your childhood, or the new memories and new traditions that you've made with your family now, with your loved ones now. And no matter what your circumstances are, no matter how many people are sitting at your table this year for Thanksgiving, or for any holiday for that matter, there is still most assuredly cause to be grateful, to be thankful, even just in the food that you eat. Even if it's not a traditional turkey with stuffing and all the trimmings and whatever, no matter how simple it may be, it's worthy of gratitude, and it's worthy of gratitude to the one who provided you with those things. And so I can't encourage that enough, my dear friends. But on that note, let's keep going, and my timer is about to beep here, so we'll be topping off this delicious casserole with the remaining onions, finishing it out. Okie dokie, so the timer just went off for that 30 minutes on the casserole. We're gonna bust this open here and see how it's looking, and then we can top it with those, with the remaining 2/3 of my fried onion strings. So let's take a look at this. Oh yes. Oh, that is bubbly and gorgeous to the nth degree, and it's all perfectly mixed together. It looks absolutely scrumptious. So we're gonna go ahead and top that. Play it safe. Let's go ahead and pull it out. That way we don't drop anything in the oven and then have it burn. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, there we go. So here we go to the casserole. And I'll leave these up here for now. And let's go ahead and top this here. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Nice, even Steven coating here. Make sure nothing's all clumped up. Everything's exactly where it ought to be. Nice. Oh, that looks gorgeous. Oh, you have no idea how hungry I am, and like this is just, oh, it's hitting all the anticipatory glands, if you will. So let's go ahead and get this back in the oven. We're doing our kitchen dance again. You should always dance in your kitchen, I think. I think that makes for a very healthy kitchen, a very healthy home, and a very healthy life. Alright. In you go again. Alrighty. You finish up there, friend. Another 5 minutes, and once this is done, we'll pull this out, and I have something else to put in the oven, and I'll show you that in just a second. Alrighty. It's not quite the dinner bell yet, but it's almost dinner bell has sung. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this delicious casserole from the oven and put it here atop our stove. So, oh yes. Oh yes. Absolutely gloriously golden, delicious, bubbly goodness. Oh my word. Oh, yes. Oh, that turned out absolutely marvelous, if I do say so myself. Alrighty, come on up here. Look down on this with me. Ooh. Beautiful golden crunchy crust. A little bit of golden brown interspersed throughout. Bubbly, ooey gooey soup. I do say that that is a success. Martha Stewart, I think, would have a problem with my presentation here. A little bit of a burnt bubblage on the sides. I apologize, Martha Stewart, but I'm doing the best I can. Also, I have an excuse. I'm a man. Sorry. Anyway, we're going to let that sit, and we're actually going to come on over here, and I want to show you all the next phase of Thanksgiving dinner here. That I'm preparing for you all. So, for the past few years, as I mentioned, my mom has been in a very difficult way. And our tradition has always been turkey and stuffing, homemade stuffing that actually my mom actually home makes by hand, not stovetop stuffing, homemade stuffing. I have many beautiful images in my mind of my mom, you know, peeling potatoes and being able to make mashed potatoes, and then her sweet potatoes or yams that she would make and things like that. And then, of course, you know, like the good old Libby's pumpkin pie and all that other good stuff. And I love that. And those are all beautiful memories that I'm always going to cherish. And hopefully, as my mom gets better, we can return to making more intricate Thanksgiving dinners like that. However, in these past few years, when we've been sitting back and going, okay, well, what do we do? it was so beautiful because a very simple, awesome answer came to us, and it ended up being something that I personally can make and then therefore present to my mom and myself as a Thanksgiving dinner where we still get to have turkey and stuffing and those different things. And I'm going to announce it now. I had mentioned a while ago when I was doing my fried chicken sandwich hunt, and I was talking about all the different fried chicken sandwiches that I liked, and I think this was in my Popeyes video that I really spoke on this in detail, that I know what my absolute favorite fried chicken sandwich is of all time, and that hails from a restaurant called Lazy Dog, and I'm definitely going to be doing an Atticus Shaffer Eats Lazy Dog at some point. I don't know if this is a restaurant that is a chain restaurant. I think it is because of how put together it is as a restaurant, but this is a restaurant that is within some semblance of driving distance. And what they do and what they have that I think is so fantastic and quite frankly so brilliant is that this restaurant makes TV dinners that you can go, you can buy, and they actually have a deal where if you buy 5, you get a 6th one free. And so whenever my mom and I make the jaunt to this particular restaurant, if we have the freezer space for it, what we end up doing is we end up buying a whole bunch of different freezer meals. One of them that is our absolute favorite of all time is that they have a turkey dinner, TV dinner. And I'm going to show it to you now. You can see it right here. Boom. Lazy Dog brand TV dinners. And this has, I mean, everything. It's got your slices of turkey with their homemade gravy. You've got your red mashed potatoes here. You've got a delicious corn stuffing. It's a corn-based stuffing, but it still has the croutons and the celery and all the good stuff that makes it a proper stuffing. And then they also have a huckleberry apple cake for dessert. And again, I cannot stress this enough. The concept of this is so simple, but this is not a Salisbury steak TV dinner, which even then, back in the day, those were actually outstanding. This is a really refined, awesome TV dinner, and Mom and I, we're hobbits, we're small, and one of these we can split evenly, pair with a green bean casserole, and we end up having a perfect, actually it's still fairly big, Thanksgiving dinner, but it's very budget friendly and it's capability friendly for little Atticus, and it's just an amazing thing that we love to do, and we've done this literally every year for the past 3 years. This is our 3rd year having this for dinner, and I cannot tell you how much we actually look forward to this as a treat meal. And we do eat these at other times in the year and throughout the year with frequency. But when we know Thanksgiving is coming up, we refrain, and we specifically wait so we can have one of these. And what's so beautiful about these is it requires the oven to be preheated to 350 degrees, which we already have done for our green bean casserole. And it's 25 minutes, you rotate it so that way it cooks evenly, and you do another 20 minutes, and boom, you're done. So we're going to bust this open, pop this in the oven, and we're going to get going on this right now. Alright, so there's the frozen goods and services. The dough is unbaked for our cake. We're going to bake it up right now with everything. We've got all the different elements to this beautiful, beautiful meal. And so let's go ahead and open on up the oven, and we're going to slide this on in there. Oh yeah, a little as the cold meets with the hot metal. Boom. 25 minutes, and then we'll rotate. So, as you can see, my dear friends, even something as simple as a TV dinner, this really brings Mom and I a whole bunch of joy. Good food, being able to listen to good music, being able to listen to bird song outside for the wild birds that my mom feeds, or see the little squirrels dancing around in the backyard with the wild squirrels that my mom feeds, being able to hear our budgie singing, or our dog barking, you know, listening to good music, as I said, being able to do things, simple things that bring us joy. That's what matters. And that's what's worthy of acknowledgement. Being around people that you love or your pets who you love. Being able to be in your space that you feel safe, or being able to go out and go to the places that you love to frequent. There's a lot that we should be thankful for. And I cannot encourage you enough that those are the things to think about and dwell on and ponder at your Thanksgiving dinners this year. My mom has always exposed me to great words, obviously preeminently the Bible and Bible stories and verses in the Bible, and of course now I read from the Bible daily. But my mom also exposed me to beautiful books, words of strength and wisdom, and poetry. And I think poetry, real poetry, let me caveat that, real poetry, is something that we should be reading and marinating in and chewing on. And again, it's the concept of thoughtful words. It's not text speak. It's not social media. It's not a hashtag. It's a person that is thinking very deeply about something, and they're eloquently putting together a mental visual through their words. And this is a poem that has always spoken to me very much, deeply, that my mom has quoted to me and spoken about frequently, all throughout my life. The words in this poem are some of my earliest memories that I personally have had of hearing my mom speak about something. And there's wisdom to these words. And so as we're preparing our Thanksgiving dinner, and I'm sharing this with you all, I would love to read you this poem now and just have you ponder the words of this poem. This is Eminence by Evelyn Underhill. I come in the little things, saith the Lord, not borne on morning wings of majesty, but I have set my feet amidst the delicate and bladed wheat that springs triumphant in the furrowed sod. There do I dwell, in weakness and in power, not broken or divided, said our God. In your straight garden plot I come to flower. About your porch my vine, meek, fruitful, doth entwine, waits at the threshold, love's appointed hour. I come in the little things, saith the Lord. Yea, on the glancing wings of eager birds, the soft and pattering feet of furred and gentle beasts, I come to meet your hard and wayward heart. In brown bright eyes that peep from out the break, I stand confessed on every nest where feathery patience is content to brood and leaves her pleasure for the high emprise of motherhood. There does my Godhead rest. I come in the little things, saith the Lord. My starry wings I do forsake, love's highway of humility to take. Meekly I fit my stature to your need, in beggar's part. About your gates I shall not cease to plead, as man to speak with man, till by such art I shall achieve my immemorial plan, pass the low lintel of the human heart.
Amen.
Happy Thanksgiving, Mom.
Happy Thanksgiving, Atticus.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh.
I just wanna go